Hello, welcome to the Sunday Chat. I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and this is the Sunday Chat for the 8th of August 2021. Can't believe where the year is going. Can't actually believe that we're in August, judging by the weather that we're having. This is the Sunday Chat in which I have a chance to catch up with you and tell you what's going on, recap the week, if you like, in case you missed bits and bobs, and, of course, look forward to the future and things that I'm thinking about, may be making any announcements about, but things that are sort of on my mind and all of that kind of malarkey. So this week we've had a mixed bag, of course. I've been doing some stuff with my van. As you saw, I went down to Colonel Craig Ratty's house and he assisted me by fixing the loo. And I can tell you, having been out and about in the van since, the loo has not fallen over. You'll be pleased about that. So am I. So there's no unwanted smells falling all over the place, which is good. The kitchen cabinet is all done, all the bits and bobs that we had to glue to it. It's all glued and dried, and that's all working. In fact, I was out only earlier today, as I record this, on the Saturday before the day this goes out, with Mr. Suggett. More about that in a minute. And we made cups of tea, well, coffee actually, and he was very impressed, and he found everything in Bristol shape and what is it? Ship shape and Bristol fashion. There we go. I think that'll do. Anyway, what else have we got up to? Is chasing the dragon at the Knucker hole, which I'd called the Knuckler hole. Do you know, I made that mistake right from the very beginning. I've always called it the Knuckler hole. So to me, regardless of what the true name is, to me it's the Knuckler hole. I don't know, it seemed right to call it the Knuckler hole, but I appreciate that everybody got in touch and saying, "No, Richard, no, it's the Knucker hole, you idiot." Yes, all right. People love to correct you, don't you? Everyone's an expert. You make one mistake and don't you know it? Oh my goodness, the keyboard warriors are in there. Richard, you made a mistake, you made a mistake, you made a mistake. Yes, all right. But there we are. But I still call it the Knuckler hole. To me, it's the Knuckler hole. But anyway, it was a lovely story about the dragon of the Knuckler hole, or Knucker hole if you'd prefer, to be accurate. Shrewsbury or Shrewsbury, who cares, ultimately. Leominster or Leominster. Yeah, you can see I'm in a slightly argutative mood. Argutative? Yeah, there's another word that I bastardized. Yeah. Anyway, that was that. I went out and got chased by dogs. Well, nearly. Earlier in the week, and of course spent the night in the van, and the van is working. Looking forward to getting away and doing more of that. So on to Mr. Suggett. Yes, Mr. Suggett and I have gone out. Yes, well, it'll be yesterday to you if you're watching on the Sunday. Today, as it is as I record this, we went and did the walk. We walked the walk of the next Bald Explorer walk, which will be the 21st of August, in a couple of weeks as I record this, for the walking group. So if you're a member of the walking group, or you want to come along on a walk with me, the lovely Julia, Mr. Suggett himself, then we're going to take a walk from Pulborough High Street car park on a Saturday, which is the 21st. There's plenty of spaces. We've worked that out. I think it's £1.50 to park. That's the only expense, other than obviously the expense to get there. There is a train station fairly near, but it's about a 20-minute walk if you're prepared to do that. We did think that we might have to do a run to pick people up. So if we know who's coming by train and at what time they arrive, it is possible that we could arrange transport to pick people up at the train station and bring them to the car park. We're meeting around about 10:30 for a set-off time of 11 o'clock. And it's a mile and a half, pretty much, to the RSPB, the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds at Pulborough Brooks. So we follow the river for a bit, then we go across country, and we end up at the RSPB, where it's a mile and a half there. We have a picnic, bring some sandwiches, pack lunch, whatever it is you want to eat, and hopefully we'll have good weather. And then we basically stroll back the same way. So it's a there and back. It's not a circular walk. So I hope that's okay. So it's 3 miles in total, but with a break. So do remember to bring a packed lunch. So Richard and I have walked it. We've just done it today. It's very lovely. It's a beautiful walk with lots to see. There's some art, wildlife art, to spot on the route. which tells you about some of the wildlife that it is possible on certain occasions to see on that route. So definitely worth going along to have a look at that. I made a video with Richard today, so I shall edit that up shortly. That'll go out on Monday. That'll be Monday's video. So if you want to see what the walk is like, we do it backwards, actually. We started at the RSPB and then we walked up to Pulborough, but then we had to walk from Pulborough back to the RSPB, and the filming took longer because we were stopping to film and talk about this, that and the other. But walking back, it took us about 35 to 40 minutes to do one way. We were going at a relatively short pace. So I think it would take 2 hours in total for the whole walk. So we kicking off at about 11, finishing about lunchtime. So that sounds all right, doesn't it? So look out for the video that will be coming out on that. Van, EPS and numbers I've written down. Oh, yes, I've got a piece of paper here with some things. I know that a number of people have emailed me and said, oh, Richard, is it all going to be all about the van now? Well, let me tell you, it's not going to be all about the van, although the van is part of doing up the van. And thank you, by the way, to all the people who've said, actually, strangely, I've enjoyed watching you put the van together. It's interesting seeing a project start, particularly when we all thought it was a disaster that you'd pulled out the innards of the van, but we've actually enjoyed you putting the van together. That's the majority view. Thank you very much for that. Some people have said, oh, no, I don't like the van. These people who tend to be like that and telling me that they don't like it and wish I did something else are not actually patrons. They've not donated anything. They've not supported me in any shape or form. They've just taken the videos for free and then they tell me that they're dissatisfied. Well, you know, what can I say? All I can say, however, is that the van does bring in more viewers than simply walking in the countryside. That brings in a bit more revenue for me on the advertising. You don't make much money from advertising revenue, but it all helps to put diesel in the van and pay for everything. So, and I do this as a full-time job, as you know. It isn't a hobby. This is my job. And so I am trying to keep the channel going by doing these sort of things. And so one needs to pay all the bills that come in. So if the van stuff does bring in a bigger audience, then obviously I'd be foolish to completely ignore it. But I don't want to ignore my regulars, my core audience, who enjoy the landscape, heritage and nature, which of course is the main crux of the channel and which I should be doing more of. And now that the van is pretty much there, to be honest with you, I can go further afield. We've been fighting the weather, though, this year, have we not? It's a very weird year. Now, I'm not one of these climate change believers. I don't think there is that much evidence in my mind for man-made climate change making a big difference to the weather. I think the weather chops and changes. It's been warming for years. Let's not get into the argument. You may disagree. I know I did a video once in which I just happened to say, look, these are my views on climate change. I'm not a great believer that it's all down to us, etc. And I know that a couple of people who had been great supporters of the channel, donated and become a patron, just went, oh, well, if you believe that, I'm off. And it is weird. I do find this weird, and people who know me or been watching me for a while will find that I have this weird idea that we could have two different views and still be friends. Yeah, I know it's an old-fashioned thing that one can agree with something or disagree with something, but actually on other things where we do agree, we can still be friends. But apparently, for some people, if I mention that I am against one particular thing, perhaps that's what's the mainstream argument or whatever, people get very upset and they go, oh, well, if you believe that, I can't like you at all. And they disassociate themselves with me. It's very odd, but there you are. What can you do? Anyway, we have been fighting the weather. The weather's been a bit weird, and because of that, I've not been out and about and doing as much, and I have been concentrating on the van because I can be relatively undercover. And a big thank you must go to Colonel Cragratty, who has helped me again by offering his wonderful services, his active brain, and of course his brawn when it came to using all the drills, the saws, and all the other bits and bobs and tools that he has in his rather secret workshop, which was magnificent to see. So thank you very much for that. Does anybody know? I was talking to Nigel Sadler, another of our great viewers, a marvellous patron who supports the channel, not only by putting lovely comments in the comment book, in the comment places, which is very good, but also financially from time to time, which is fantastic. Thank you very much, Nigel. Well, I was chatting to him. He's just bought this great big motorhome and he's travelled around. And he was telling me that actually it was quite tricky when they went away for a week to book up at campsites. And I thought this might be the case because everybody seems to be having a staycation at the moment, because it's pretty difficult to go and decide where you want to go abroad and whether you've got to isolate when you come back, and all the tests that you've now got to take. Even though you might have vaccines and passports and jabs and all of that, it still just seems to be an expensive added extra to go abroad at the moment. So maybe next year it will be a lot easier. So everyone's staying in the country, and the staycations, it seems, has meant that the campsites are all chock-a-block. Now, this was my fear, but if that's not the case, if you're somebody who has been staying in the campsites recently, I'd be interested to know of campsite associations where I can take the van and actually get in, because I'd like to get out a bit further afield, and I don't want to do discreet camping all the time. Whilst I can in my black van just park up, what have you, it would be nice to go to a campsite and use some of the facilities. You know, at least I could empty the loo, have a shower, all that sort of stuff. And you never know, sort of make friends in the evening in the campsite and sell the idea of the Bald Explorer. That would be good. Hand out a few of my promotional cards. So if you're a member of a campsite who've been on a campsite, maybe there's places that you can recommend. That would be interesting. And as people are doing that, it might be worth me actually going and investigating some of the campsites, exploring those, to see where are good places to go if you're thinking of doing a similar thing. Because I know a lot of people did get in touch and say, do you know, I'm thinking of getting a van, and I thought it was going to be very difficult to convert the van to some form of camper van, or camp-in van, as I like to call mine. But actually seeing what you've done with your boxes and stuff actually didn't seem too difficult. And after all, if you can do it, I can do it. So if I've encouraged people to have a go, then that's brilliant. So maybe I need to go and explore a few campsites. So if you've got any recommendations, do send them in, richard@vobes.com, or of course you can shove them in the comments to this video, which would be great. What else have we got here? Oh, yes. Touring with ideas for Vobe show plus toying is what I've written down here. Toying. I can't read my own writing. I have the writing of a doctor. Should have been a doctor. Should have been a GP. Writing out those prescriptions in a literate handwriting. I'd be perfect at that. But I've just managed to decipher what it is I've actually written down here on this sheet of paper. Toying with ideas for the Vobe show and the Bald Explorer live. Well, we haven't done a Bald Explorer live, but now those of you who know what the Vobe show is, this is a show that I do on a Tuesday, not on a Tuesday at all, it's on a Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 8 o'clock, which is usually about an hour and a half, a live show of nonsense. But we also show the viewers videos. Now, over the years that we've been doing this, which hasn't been many years, but over the time that we've been doing it, particularly over the last year and a half, I suppose, during the COVID time, where people have been sharing some of the places they've been to and all of that, I started to think, actually, this is pretty much an extension of the Bald Explorer, because people are showing me landscape, heritage and nature in their videos that they send in to the show. And I thought, well, actually, maybe this is something that should be a Bald Explorer live from the Bald Explorer studio, which effectively would be the same studio, but maybe from the sofa on the other side, which I can't show at the moment because I haven't turned all the lights on. And maybe that should be we should do a film night where people share their stuff and we do it as a Bald Explorer live. And not so much on the Vobe show. Now, I'm just toying with this idea. This is not an announcement. I may change my mind. I may not. I'm just sort of thrashing it out, really. So if I didn't have the videos in the Vobe show, what would happen with that? Well, I'm toying with ideas on the Vobe show that during the winter months, when it's cold and a bit miserable, that's the time to sort of really embrace the live format and bring people together, and perhaps reduce, on the Bald Explorer side of things, the going out and about. Now, I've done that for 4 years, and I know that each winter can be quite a challenge because the weather can be miserable, it can be cold, the days are short, there's no much, the sun is low, and when it's out, and sometimes it's not out at all, and the wind is high, and all of that. And whilst you do get some good weather, of course, I should take the advantage of the good weather, but when it's miserable, perhaps if I was to reduce the output to 2 videos, or possibly just one long format one during the winter for the Bald Explorer, and then on the Vobes show I could spend a bit more time on some of the content that goes into that. Now, I'm just toying with this idea. This isn't an announcement, this isn't a fait accompli, I'm just thinking about it, but I'm just sharing these thoughts with you as I go along, really. So that was that. Now, Julia and I will be heading off to Wiltshire very soon. And when we go, the chances are I may just decide to have a complete week off from all broadcasts on the Vobes show and indeed the Bald Explorer, and edit everything when we come back. So I'll let you know when that happens. That there may be I think we're going to go for about a week. And we will gather videos together and make stuff, of course. That would be the purpose of the trip. But rather than having the pressure to try and get things out each day whilst away, I think I may wait till I come back, because we don't know what the weather will be like, even though people keep telling me there's going to be a little heat wave coming along, which would be nice if that's true. But I have yet to see any signs or sounds of it, but it may happen. So there may be a hiatus, is it, in the broadcasting? There may be a slight pause. Now, in 4 years, I think I'm entitled to a little bit of time off, even though actually I'll be gathering material. So we'll see how that goes. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, in this episode, just to say that the Bald Explorer walking group, of which I mentioned the walk in Pulborough Brooks, is always looking for new places to go. So if you are in the Sussex area, or on the border of Kent, or on the border of Hampshire, possibly, and you've got a great idea for a walk and you want to suggest it, please feel free to suggest it. Send your ideas to me, richard@vobes.com. If you've got a map, ideally 3 miles tops, preferably easy terrain, because we have all sorts of different abilities on the walking, and it isn't so much as a hike, it's more of a social. So if we can stop and have a bit of a picnic, that would be ideal. Or if there's a cafe or a pub at the end of it, if it's a circular walk, then that's nice as well. So it's just really a meander, a Bald Explorer meander, where people get a chance to see the same names come up in the group, and it's a chance for them to meet each other, to meet the lovely Julia and myself. And as I mentioned before, we usually have it at the last weekend of the month, and it's alternate Saturdays and Sundays. So this one in August would be a Saturday, so the next one would be whatever the last weekend in September is on the Sunday, and that would be the next walk. And then September, October would be the Saturday, the last Saturday, and so on. Unless, of course, that Saturday coincides with Halloween or something, when it might be an event going on or whatever. So that's how that works. Anyway, there we go. That's my Sunday chat. Hope it's been of some interest to you. Few bits and bobs and ideas circulating in the old bonts, trying to come up with some good stuff to keep the channel going. If you haven't, and you do fancy helping out and supporting the channel, do go to thebaldexplorer.com, and in the top left-hand corner there, on the left, on the side, in the side panel, you should see ways to donate. Don't forget, we have a shop. You can buy one of our lovely, and I haven't got it in front of me, Bald Explorer mugs, or even a t-shirt. So there you go. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great Sunday, and I will catch up with you very soon. Bye-bye.